Hey everyone, so we're finally talking about the last part of the Does Size Matter series. It's the 7th video in the series. The rest of the videos will be linked up here. And we're talking about the outside backs this week. And as always, it has been quite interesting. Sorry for taking a bit longer with this one. I've been busy with a couple of live streams. I've been watching the virtual World Cup. The live stream with G-Man Gareth Mason was very awesome if you want to check that one out as well. But let's get into this video. Again, I set up this whole list next to me where I just went into all the wings and fullbacks playing in the Super Rugby. And you'll see guys like Rico Ioane isn't on this list because he's been mainly a center this year, or he's been listed as a center and he's been playing mostly as a center. And guys like Perofeta, he's been split 50-50 in the role. So it's been difficult, but the list is here now. The lightest guys in the back three is Senatla for the Stormers and Abrahams for the Sharks. The shortest guys, Peterson, also from the Stormers. The tallest, Jordy Barrett, obviously from the Hurricanes, and then Ale Malo from the Chiefs. And the heaviest is Fafita from the Sunwolves. Then we compare the conferences with each other. You might have picked up that South Africa well and truly have the lightest wings and fullbacks, while New Zealand have the heaviest of all of them. They are almost like centers on the park. Looking at the teams, it confirms this as well. The Australians, they are basically on the average except for the Rebels. New Zealand, they are all above average except for the Chiefs. And then South Africa, they are below average except for the Lions. Firstly, I'm going to get into the teams where I look at how the outside backs' size correlates with the overall stats of a team. So a little bit later in this video, I'll be looking at the individuals themselves. As you can see in this one, weight-wise, the Crusaders are at the top. And remember that when we look at the stats later on in this video. And then the Jaguares, they are at the bottom of this stats. But the first thing we're going to look at is points scored overall by the whole team. The top four are average weighted. So the teams that score the most points, they have average or below average sized outside backs. And then the team with the second heaviest outside backs, the Highlanders, they're actually at the bottom of the list. Points on average, only one heavy team in the top six. So you can actually see that average and below average teams score more points. Then we get into the most tries scored. The outside backs are always important in this stat. The top three teams all have average sized number or average sized back threes, and the big teams more or less are scattered around in the middle of this sheet. Tries on average is exactly the same story. Kicking meters, most top teams have smaller back threes when they kick more on this stats, and it shows the tendency of smaller guys to rather kick the ball away, and the bigger guys probably want to run with it. Kicking on average is the same thing though, with the Hurricanes close to the top, kicking a lot. Like I said with the running meters, the big guys are in the back three like running a lot with it, and they are all close to the top with the big back threes. Running meters on average, the Crusaders does most with the heaviest guys, and then the Stormers with the least amount of running meters, they are one of the lightest back three combinations. I mean, Peterson, Senatla, and then Dylan Lades are all below average. So does this stats carry over to the individual players? Let's see about that. The top try scorers in the back three, you can clearly see the more average or above average guys score more tries, and there's more of them on this list, with only one person on this list actually being below average weight. So sometimes the wingers don't just score tries, or the fullback doesn't just score tries, they set up tries as well. A lot of the guys on this list with the try assist, there are a lot of guys, but to me the top five is the most important. It is the guys that actually assisted with three or more tries, and three of them are actually below average size. So you can see the bigger guys score more tries, the below average guys actually set up a couple of more tries. The back three also are important in running, kicking and passing, and if you look at those stats, with the most runs, Talia from the Blues makes the most actually, but most of the guys making the most meters are above average, like we confirmed with that other lists we went through a little bit earlier. The runs on average, it is the same thing, with Bridge and Havili making the most running meters in this list. Remember, I said look out for the Crusaders. They do make a lot of meters, being the heaviest back three of all the sides. The running meters, that is actually quite interesting to me, because there are more smaller guys actually on this list. So the big guys, they might take the ball forward, or they like running with the ball more, but the smaller guys actually tend to make more running meters overall. But when we look at the averages, again with the running meters on average, we still see more bigger guys here, so it's difficult to actually say what is actually going on here. Something that goes hand in hand with running with the ball is line breaks. You can see in this list it is even between the big and the smaller guys. No real average guys on this list. Speckman, he makes the most line breaks of all the guys so far. Defenders beaten, Mark Talia, he leads by more than twice as much as Farsi, and you can see a lot of guys on this list is smaller. Passing is another important thing that number 15s should do, and you can see they act as another playmaker on the park, again a lot of times on the park. And the ones that do that most on the park are the smaller guys on the park. Yes, Perifetta is leading this, but he's basically played 3 games at fly half and 3 games at fullback. So it's difficult to take all his things into account. You kind of take it with a pinch of salt. But Beal, Galant, Lades and McKenzie are all smaller back 3 players. Passing on average are also dominated by smaller players, or the smaller fullbacks, and then offloads are dominated again by the bigger guys, because I mean they like to carry it forward. And on this list you can see again it is 4 Crusaders players on this list. Kicking, just as we saw in the team list, the smaller guys like to kick more, except for Jordy Barrett. He kind of kicks all the time. I think he's basically the number 10 playing at number 15 for the Hurricanes. Then we get into the stats that I've found interesting in basically every single video that I've done so far on this Does Size Matter series. The tackling, it is important in the back 3, because a lot of times they are actually the last line of defense. The best tacklers in the competition, mostly average and above average guys. 2 of the top 3 guys are heavy players. All of them are actually from New Zealand as well, so that might be something you have to look at. The worst tacklers, though, you can conclusively say that the smaller back 3 players do tackle worse than the big guys. Usually it's not always like that, but in the stats it doesn't lie. Unfortunately, one of the best attacking players, or best attacking fullbacks, Damian McKenzie, is the worst tackler in the competition with 59% tackle percentage. The other small guys in this list, Muriad, Peterson, Perifetta, Fassi, they're also on this list, and they're also not as good as the bigger guys in tackles. So what we found out in total in this list, the big guys, they like running with the ball, they like scoring tries, they like tackling. Then the smaller guys, they tend to kick better, they beat defenders, and they assist with tries. They also pass a bit more. So they are literally 2 different type of back 3 players if you compare them like that. Guys, you can obviously see size does matter in the back 3, just like it has mattered so far with each and every one of the other positions we have checked out. So if you want to check that out, the links will be here, or the videos will be linked there. If you did like this video, hit the subscribe button, and then I'll see you for the next one. Cheers.